Hello bakers, I hope everyone is well. This week I am making the chocolate peanut butter cake by Yossy Arefi from her book Snacking Cakes, which I love, in case you haven't gathered. It's so good, it's always just so easy and delicious. So first up, it's some light brown sugar into a bowl. Sorry if you can hear sirens in the background. And a couple of eggs. What I love about her recipes is they are just so simple and you don't really need equipment. I use my stand mixer, but you don't really need to. You can just use a whisk and a strong arm. So they get whisked together until they are pale and foamy, and so about a minute or so. And then add peanut butter. In the recipe she says to use like smooth, kind of salty peanut butter, but I only had crunchy and it comes out really nice. You get those little nuggets of peanut, which is quite nice. And then you add oil, which is vegetable oil. I think in the recipe she says canola, but it's the same thing. And then some milk. So it's kind of all the wet ingredients together first. And some salt and vanilla extract. And then that gets mixed together again, just again for me in the stand mixer, but you could just use a whisk. And then I'm gonna sift in some cocoa powder. To be honest, sometimes I don't sift. Sieve or sift? Sometimes I don't do it, but I thought I would this time. And then that gets mixed together again. And last up, it's adding plain flour and some baking powder and a bit of baking soda and whisking again until well combined and smooth. So it's kind of all thick and glossy. And last up, you can add some coffee. So it's boiling water and I've got some coffee granules. Probably should have mixed them together. There was a few bites of this cake that I was like, I think that was a nugget of coffee. But that's the cake. So you give that a good mix. I'm just using the spatula. And then it will go into the cake pan, which I've lined with a reusable liner. And then into the oven. Or a few taps to get rid of air bubbles, and then into the oven. And while that's baking, I'm going to make the icing. So that's some icing sugar into a bowl and some more peanut butter. Again, I think it was recommended to use smooth, but crunchy's all I had and it worked out completely fine. And some vanilla. I'm being very lazy and just using the cap to measure. A bit of salt and a bit more boiling water. Give that a little whisk together. And then once it's combined, if it feels a bit too thick, which this did, you can add a little bit more hot water to thin it out. One thing I will say is I made this quite early on, so while the cake had just gone into the oven, and I think in the future I might make it once the cake is out of the oven, which it is here. See that massive crack? That's not happened before. I don't know why. But the reason I'd make the icing I think a bit later is because I added more water now to thin it down, and then it was a bit too thin. So because it had kind of set a bit while I was waiting for the cake to cool, but it's still delicious. I completely forgot to show you the inside, but it's a delicious kind of dense, moist, chocolatey, very easy to eat cake. Super simple. It's kind of got that salty depth from the peanuts, but it's also a light chocolate cake, and just delicious. The book on the whole is just fabulous, so highly recommend. If you've made it, let me know how you got on, and hopefully I'll see you next time.